Meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Well, we can tell you guys have done this before.
Heard all the young voices, that's awesome. Yes, indeed.
All right, welcome to the regular November meeting of the Greencastle School Board. First item on the agenda is adjustments to the agenda. Mr. Gibney.
Yep, we do not have any adjustments to the agenda for this month.
Okay, easy enough. Next item, public comments regarding agenda items. Is there anyone in the audience that has any comments concerning our agenda tonight? Okay, hearing none. Next item is recognitions. Mr. Gibney.
Yep, let's go ahead and begin with TZ this month. And Mrs. Rhodes, if you'd like to introduce. Yep.
So it's my honor to introduce our fabulous TZ choir, made up of 4th and 5th graders, led by Mrs. Hamilton, our music teacher. And they're going to sing a couple of songs for you.
For 17 years now, and at the beginning of my career, we used to have this big holiday gathering back at central office, and each of the choirs from every single building would come, and we'd have lunch, and teachers would take breaks throughout their day. Do you remember that? And they would come and and the buses, it was a nightmare to bus everybody and get everybody in their outfits, and it was such a wonderful time dedicated, and so I'm just thankful to come tonight and share the group that I have with me. We are small, but we are mighty. And we performed these songs, and we have 5 that we performed come after school. They come twice a week for 1 hour after school, and they get to learn how to raise their voice. But specifically, the Veterans Day Choir, they're raising their voice to honor others. And so it's not like they're competing, they're just unifying their voices together to give gifts, give a gift back. So we hope you're blessed tonight, and again, thank you for this time that we could come and share our gift with you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for
Thank
that.
you,
That was
yes,
amazing.
yes, it'll be a hard act to follow.
Seen some popcorn, hot dogs, ball game now. Great job.
Think our crowd's gonna leave.
Well, it's just getting started, folks. What? The acoustics.
This is our acoustics.
Oh, for your nose. Is it just one? It's not like the magician's handkerchief. I was just gonna say, all this time I thought that It's on you. I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, I think the holiday songs that I know there was from Veterans Day, they were good.
Too hard, man.
All right, I think
Okay, well,
I think we have more.
continue on with,
yeah,
continue on with recognitions.
yep, continue on with recognitions, I guess.
Start with Rid Path.
All right, I have the honor of having Miss Harper Fordyce with me tonight. She's a second grader at Ridpath, and she was nominated by her teacher, Mrs. Hayes. And I'll read a few words that Mrs. Hayes shared. Harper is a great all-around student. She works hard, she's kind to others, she's always listening and following directions. Her smile is infectious, and her overall positivity brightens up our school. We are so thankful for Harper. So join me in recognizing Ms. Harper Fordyce.
Mr. McHugh?
I'd like to introduce you to Eve Miller. Eve is a kindergartner in Mrs. Burnham's class, and she is our October Student of the Month. And Mrs. Burnham writes, "I love having Eve in class. She follows the rules and listens the first time I ask. She is kind to others. She is always being friendly to kids on the playground, lets them join in on the fun. She wants to learn and grow. I can't wait to see the progress she'll make this school year. Keep up the great work, Eve." Eve Miller.
Mrs. Rhodes?
So I am proud to introduce Miss Lucy Greenwell. She is a third grader in Mrs. Enlow's class. And Mrs. Enlow wrote, "Lucy has one of the best work ethics of any student I have ever had in 18 years of teaching. Lucy works hard. She is one of the most outgoing and friendly students in my room. And one of her favorite hobbies is telling jokes in front of the class. Lucy leaves the room 2 or 3 times per week for a pull-out program, yet she manages to complete all work that she has missed efficiently, accurately, and without complaint. She is a joy to have in class." Miss Lucy Greenwell.
Ms. Cup for the middle school?
Good evening. We are proud to introduce you to Levi Hostetler, sorry. 8th grade team nominated him, which is a huge thing for all of his 8th grade teachers. Say Levi works so hard, he's helpful to his peers around him and is extremely kind and thoughtful. He's an independent, creative thinker. He works hard to achieve his goals and is able to arrive at solutions that are both unique and appropriate. He's very considerate of both other students and his teachers. He's polite, friendly, and always has a smile on his face. We are so lucky to have Levi as a student." And his other teacher says, "Levi's such a kind and caring student. He's always willing to work with others and very cooperative. He's always has a smile on his face. He's extremely polite and considerate. He's a joy to have in class." Congratulations.
And Mrs. Goodpaster? We have a photo display set up, or the backdrop set up in the other room for photos.
It doesn't appear that our student is here. For the month of October, it was Respect, and our student was Emma Smiley. Teacher said, "Emma is a great leader in many respects. She has been a member of the Key Club for the past 2 years and has impressed the teachers with her ability to follow through on everything she gets involved with. She has so much respect for the students that she works with on any project and makes sure to include everyone. So we have Emma Smiley.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda, which consists of meeting minutes from a special meeting from October 19th, executive session meetings from October 19th, and regular meeting minutes from October 24th, the allowance of claims, the financial report, and personnel reports, part 1 and 2, which are posted on the door and on the website. Mrs. Romer.
Yes, this month you'll see that all your reports are with our new software. So hopefully you had a little time to acclimate yourself with them. So I'll briefly just kind of go over what we've got in our packet tonight. We had 2 regular payrolls in the month of October 2022. Our first payroll was October 14th for a total payroll of $474,223.50. And as usual, we've got some retirement and payroll taxes. These reports look a little bit different, and hopefully I'm going to get these a little bit more curtailed for the future. But so I'll kind of tell you how I went about doing things. You'll see some highlights there for the payroll taxes, and then you'll see highlights for the TURF, that's for the teacher's retirement, and then for public retirement fund. So I've just highlighted those for you. The total on those for the October 14th payroll was $130,846.37. And the second regular payroll was dated October 28th for a total payroll of $385,471.66. And that was a little less than normal because that fell during fall break period. And again, we have the payroll taxes and we've got retirement. So total for the October 28th payroll for payroll and retirement, $109,892.48. And then next in your packet, you're going to see a list of prepays. The only thing that would be unusual on this list would be the corporation third quarter contribution for VALIC. We do that every quarter, and that would have been on this October prepay list. Was there any other prepay that is on the list that anyone had a question about?
Nope.
Nope, okay. So total for prepays for the month of October 2022, $358,873.67. And then we've got a list of claims that are dated today, October 28th. Again, there's really nothing unusual on this list other than the fact that it's a very long list, which is not unusual because we try to finish up any expenditures for the year in November as much as we can. We'll have a few residual things in December. But total dated today, October 28th, 2022, $440,701.21. And then if you're ready, we can move on to the finance report. Okay. All right. You've got a fund report there. Education fund, the end of October 2022, $3,127,173.50. And then operations, and again, these should be highlighted in your packet in green or maybe yellow. I don't remember what color I used. It would be fund 300. The balance at the end of October is $1,155,965.54. One thing I did want to bring to your attention on fund 4125. I don't know if anybody has noticed this, but it's exceptionally in the negative, and that is for Title I.
Okay.
All the title grants, we're still waiting on approvals, and that has never happened. And as anyone that works with the state knows, they're kind of struggling with help. So that's why that is in the negative. It's not that we're not trying to be reimbursed, we just cannot be reimbursed yet. So that's why that's a bit in the negative on that Title I fund. And if you've ever had a question about any of those, please don't hesitate to ask, and I probably explain why they're in the negative. So total for all funds, the end of October 2022 is $8,073,693.14. So we'll go ahead and we'll keep that there. And then the next report that you're going to see kind of takes the place of what we used to call our depository statement. This is a report that's run out of our new software, which basically out of the software will run what is our total fund balance and what is our total bank balance. Okay, but there's a little niche, just like there was last month with our migration. There is still an issue with two of the banks. They do not have them balanced to their penny, but our overall bank balances do balance. That's good. But they're still working on what is the actual bank balance for Bank 2, what is the actual bank balance for Bank 10. But you'll see on here, we want to be looking at our grand total for all funds and our grand total for all banks. And you'll see, and they should be highlighted, at the end of October 2022, those both matched to the penny. And if you actually go back to the last line of your fund report, you'll see that the fund, the bank balance report, and the fund report all match. They're all the same number, and that's exactly what we want. And then we have the fund transfer report. This is a little bit different this month. Normally, I don't have these show up, but the way we have this set up in the new software, anytime I do a transfer from one bank to another, normally you don't see that. You've given me authorization to do that through resolutions that we run every year, but for some reason, these are showing up on reports, which is absolutely fine with me, but it's basically me transferring money from one bank to another bank to cover, not necessarily payroll, but the claims checks. Does that make sense? Okay, so I just want to kind of give you an idea what you're looking at and signing off on here. And then we have our usual education ops transfer, and then we have our school lunch 8,400, which is the prepaid account, moving that to the school lunch account. So the total on those transfers is $708,394.85. And then lastly, we have the bond expenditures. First, we have bond expenditures for 2021. Running from July 2021 through October 2022, our balance forward, you'll see there at the top. And then you've got the expenditures for bond 2021 through like the second half of October. So our total through the end of October expenditures for bond 2021 is $10,759,855.40. And then if we kind of jump down there to the bottom, you'll see expenditures for bond 2022. And we just started that bond, so our balance forward from September 1st, 2022 through the beginning of October 2022 was $60,972.63. And then through the remainder of October, we just had a small expenditure for legal fees. So our total balance for expenditures from bond 2022 is $61,254.89. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
You can make the motion. I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is reports, and first from Assistant Superintendent Dr. French.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So we're in the middle of a couple of curriculum adoptions, so I just wanted to give you an update on that. So we're working on reading for kindergarten through 6th grade and math for 6th through 8th grade. So we have the principals involved and part of the committee and at least one teacher from each grade level. So right now with reading, we've got that narrowed down to 4, and by the end of the week, we should have that narrowed down to 2 curriculum. With math, they've got that narrowed down to 2, and so then the next step in the process is to do what we call field testing, which is basically like test driving the car. So it's not just like looking at the pamphlet, we're actually gonna try it. And so the teachers will each select a few different lessons from both of the curriculum to implement with their classes. So that's really how they get a good feeling for what it's like to teach it, what information is there, and the teacher-friendliness of it. So they'll work on the field testing part through January and February, and then we'll reconvene and they'll give all their feedback and their input, and we'll make a final decision from there. And then we hope to bring that to you for approval in March so that we can start the purchase and the training before teachers leave for the summer. So that's the goal and the timeline for both the reading and the math curriculum. So any questions?
No?
Nope.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Thanks. Next item is Superintendent Report, Mr. Givney.
Yeah, so I just have a couple of items, first of which, most people in this room probably received a phone call from me this evening, and that's just the reminder with winter weather upcoming and to make sure we have good information. but also wanted to communicate with parents, with the General Assembly and the Legislature and the DOE, essentially adding additional restrictions and limiting the amount of traditional e-learning days or virtual learning days that schools can use, limiting us to 3 unless we provide live instruction 50% of the day for all of our students. So we've talked, and we are just going to stick with our 3, what I would call more traditional e-learning days. And anything after that, we would have to add on to the end of the school year. And as you'll see tonight, in next year's school calendar and moving forwards, unless things change, adding back in some built-in snow days, so that way we don't have to tack on to the end of the school year. So that was shared with families. Building projects moving along. We had a few noisy days at the middle school, but overall, I think the staff and the students have done a tremendous job, and things haven't been too difficult to navigate there. They're making some good headway in some of those spaces, and actually most of the demo, if not all the demo, in the first area is so the office, the media center, and the newly refreshed classrooms are going into the former office. They're starting to put things back and starting to put in back in mechanical. We're kind of earmarking or looking at right around March, so right around spring break, to occupy those new spaces at the middle school and hand over the science lab. So things are moving along really well there. At the high school, I think the same thing can be said. We've had some bumps in the road with the big hole in the ground, trying to get up out of the ground. But that's moving along well. The first kind of the front of the school, kind of that back hallway in the media center, those spaces are moving along too. They're starting to actually put in some of the finishes. So some of the casework, flooring, final paint. So we're expecting turnover of those areas right around Christmas break or shortly thereafter. So we're going to be working with teachers on the next phase of movement classroom. So everyone's been doing really well, and definitely appreciate everyone being flexible with that, because it hasn't been easy, just to be completely honest, but everyone's been tremendous. And then the final thing that I have for you tonight, we received our 1782 notice from the Department of Local Government Finance. It's probably the most exciting thing. I love the budget. We received it, and probably earlier than I could ever remember. And so what we received back, we actually sent back to them and made cuts on our proposed rate. So this top sheet here has our historical tax rate comparisons advertised on the left-hand side, right-hand certified. And so we know that we always advertise higher, and when it comes back certified, our AV is higher. And so you can see our rate for 2023, $1.3236. And then you can see the 2 different funds that we do have a rate for. Debt service fund, 0.6199. That's actually the same as our 2021 certified rate, because when we move forward with issuing bonds in the building projects, we promised our taxpayers that we would not raise our debt service tax rate. And so actually, the first 1782 notice that came back from the DLGF, the rate was listed at like 0.67 and some change. And so we instructed them to make cuts to that rate, and that'll bring the levy down, obviously also. But we plan for that in working with our financial advisors and cutting into some of the operating balance and debt service. And so, total rate $1.3236, and we've taken care of that, getting things signed off with the DLGF. So I wanted to share that with you for your reference.
Good. Thank you. All right, thanks. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is old business. There is no old business, so we come to new business. Excuse me. First item on the agenda, or under new business, is an approval request for 2023 overnight out-of-state GHS band and choir field trip to Florida.
Yep. So as is customary, anything overnight or out of state requires school board approval. Sponsors have submitted the necessary information in the itinerary, guidelines, chaperones, all of that, which is in your board packet. And so my recommendation to the board would be to approve this good opportunity for our kids.
I make a motion to approve it.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item is an approval request for the 2024 overnight out-of-state GMS trip to Washington DC.
Yeah, so kind of similarly, it was discovered that there's an overnight and out-of-state trip being proposed for Greencastle Middle School. And again, I just think it'll be a good opportunity for our middle school students. They've submitted all of the necessary information, itinerary, chaperones. This trip doesn't take place during the school year either, so it's not going to impact instruction, but just think it would be a good opportunity for those that would like to go to Washington, D.C. to have the chance to do that with our middle school. So I would recommend that the board approve this opportunity.
Make a motion to be approved.
What are the dates on that trip?
That's a good question.
June 24th. All
Oh, it was in June
I
somewhere.
think it's just right after school lets out.
right, so
So
we,
so the cost of the trip is just shy of $2,000, so I'm just, but it doesn't look like with some of the others that there's fundraising, fundraising or anything like that available. So is that something that is possible or that we can?
I think it's one of those things where they work with the families to make the payments.
Okay.
And, you know, it's 2 years in, well, am I right? Yeah, it's 2 years in advance, so there's a long time to
Sure.
kind of chip away at that, but it's an external, it's an external travel agency.
Okay,
But yeah, they work with the families to make
got it.
payments.
Okay.
Looks like it'd be a good trip.
yeah.
It's a good opportunity, I think.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to go back, you know, move forward and have this kind of opportunities
Yeah,
again.
for sure.
Okay, I believe we have a motion and a second, so all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for bus trade-in for parts service labor credit of $2,000 to Curlin Bus Sales.
Yeah, so we have a bus that is no longer pass safety inspections, it's older, it's not worth repairing, and essentially we'd like to trade it, and we have a partner willing to take it and give us some credit towards parts, service, and labor, which we always need. So I would make the recommendation that the board approve or allow us to do this.
I make a motion we accept.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next is an approval request for the 2023-24 corporation calendar.
Yeah, so in your packet, actually I printed a new one for you because in your packet, summer school, it said June 3 through 8. Well, obviously that's incorrect, it's June 3 through 28. But I've spent some time working with the superintendents in the neighboring school districts that we share Area 30 Career Center with, having discussions with GCTA and our administrators on a suitable calendar, the best we can for 23-24. And essentially you have that proposal in front of you. It was kind of there were some minor adjustments through our conversation. Highlights, kids would begin on August 4th, which is a Friday. We tried to push back the start of school, but rather, you know, there's a lot of not wanting to start with have the first week of school be a 5-day week, so liking that we start on a Friday, and then we have a day off, and then continue. fall break is back in alignment with the county schools and also Covered Bridge, the Covered Bridge Festival. Christmas break is, very similar to what we have currently. You can see on there are those three green little boxes. That's the return of the built-in snow days to allow for, in addition to the use of e-learning, to allow some flexibility should we have some not so nice weather. And then spring break is the week of the 18th through the 22nd, which aligns with the other three county school districts. And then we still end the week before Memorial Day, so end on a Tuesday, have graduation on that Friday, so there's some flexibility there as well. So, so I would recommend that the board approve the 23-24 school calendar so that we can post it on our website and share it with families, because this is probably one of the most frequently asked for documents.
So just to verify, Mr. Givney, we
Sure.
are, with our spring break and our fall break, we're gonna fall back in line with the other schools?
Correct.
Because that is the most thing I've gotten my backside chewed on this year for.
Yeah.
I'd like to eliminate that if we can.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. I like it. I don't like getting chewed.
So I guess I have more of a question. I
Sure.
appreciate the breaks lining up, but it didn't, so it looks like other county schools, the only ones I can verify is North Putt and Cloverdale, are both starting on the 9th. I don't understand why we're maybe starting on the 4th, going for a day, and then,
Yeah, I know, we've done that before, and I've always questioned, why start school on a Friday?
Like
I
this
mean-
year, so this year I think we started on Thursday, so getting a couple days in, getting everybody a break, because the start of the year is taxing, rather than hitting the ground running with a full week. That was the feedback that I got from our staff, because I had shared a proposal where we started on the 7th, but the feedback was not as positive and receptive to that.
so what is the process? You come up with a quasi thought process, and you send it over to the Teachers Association?
Yeah, so typically there aren't too many really major changes. It's pretty much corresponding dates, so come up with a couple of calendars, and then we meet with GCTA. We talk as an admin team. We have discussion on what the calendar looks like. Like, we know there has to be 180 days. We know there are only so many ways to get that with a start date and an end date, and having a week at the fall, having a couple of weeks at Christmas, and having a week in the spring. There's multiple different, obviously, viewpoints to it. So there's not exact science to do it, per se. We just do our best to put together a complete calendar that kind of satisfies all those things. Like, for instance, from the first draft to this draft, rather than ending on December 19th, we're ending on December 20th, because high school wanted to have 3 full days in the same week for final exams. But yeah.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'd like the snow day built back in. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. I don't understand why we're starting, from my perspective, and I may be the only one on the board, but from my perspective, I don't know why we're starting 5 days before the other schools, I guess, is my question.
Yeah, because we have the built-in, we have more days.
Yep.
We have more teacher days, and we have extra time at winter break.
Right, winter break seems to be a little bit longer than some of the other schools.
Yes. Yeah, so
I just don't like the Friday start date. I mean, I think it just screws a family out of a week for the summer. Because if that's the only week, let's say a family could take a vacation and get back right before school starts, well, they can't.
yeah,
It kills the final week of summer for families.
So I think if I'm understanding that Friday, the idea is to kind of get get students in,
Get our
do all
littles
the
used to
first day of
school.
school thing,
Yep.
and then, which is hectic.
Yep.
And then give everybody a couple of days to breathe, and then come
Yeah,
back and then hit
exactly.
the ground running, right? Is that?
Yes.
Oh, I get it, I just don't think it's fair to families to,
Well, we're starting later than we did this year. And if we start later, or excuse me, if we start earlier, we're gonna finish earlier too. And so, I mean, I don't know how late we wanna finish it at the end of the year. I mean, it's, you know, it's 50% this, it's 50% that.
It is, it is. So this is the one that the teachers and administration want.
Jointly, yes. We came to a compromise.
Okay. Okay.
all right, can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve.
I will second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Are you opposed, Dale?
You oppose it?
You opposed?
He's for it.
Okay. So. All
We wanna
opposed?
revote, yeah.
Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, then, next thing on the agenda is an approval request for the Teacher Appreciation Grant.
Yeah, so we were just notified, by the state, I believe sometime next week, we're gonna receive our teacher appreciation grant, stipend funds for, our teachers. And so I've been working, on those amounts to, distribute those to teachers on our December 9th payroll. But why it's on the agenda is, as is customary, in the past, the DOE specifically, excludes, administrators from, receiving any of the stipends, from the state. So the recommendation in your packet is to provide, the stipends, the same stipends provided in the same amount to the administrators, as the teachers. And, the revised version was printed and, left, because we, mistakenly included one teacher that left on the spreadsheet. And so by adjusting that, it adjusted, those by a few dollars as well.
I make a motion, we approve the teacher appreciation grant as presented.
Yeah, second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for permission to advertise an RFP for a food service management company.
Yeah, so, Mrs. Carrico, she's gonna be retiring, in February, and, we just, kind of took a deep dive into, current structure of our food service program, and, made the decision, that it, is best, at this time to look at contracting, with a food service management company. And, Mrs. Carrico and I met with, the entire food service, staff today, to share that with them, that we'd be releasing an RFP, but also to assure them, that, it's our goal and, that we are sharing, it's part of it will have to be part of the proposal that we expect, the food service management company to take on our staff, because they're Greencastle people. We want them to continue to work in our cafeterias, but they would do so, as an employee of the food service management company. So, I've been working with the Department of Education, so we have an RFP, that we have gonna advertise an RFP on December 2nd and 9th, or potentially the outside chance of the 5th or the 12th. I'm waiting for final approval from the DOE on that. But having a proposal due date of December 19th, at 10 a.m. to have open the bids, and review them and analyze them, through a small committee, and then, work to award a contract, first week of January. So we have time to review those proposals. So we're seeking permission to advertise the RFP for food service management company.
Just to clarify, Jeff, maybe not everyone knows what RFP means.
Yes, request for proposals.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion?
Well, it's a well-deserved retirement, and
It is.
I'm looking forward to seeing what we come up with.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item is an approval request for furniture for Greencastle Middle School.
Yep. So, built into the building project itself, into the budget was some updated furniture for the classrooms, the media center, the updated office spaces, and the science labs. And so we are ready to order phase 1 and phase 2. So phase 1 and phase 2, that's the office, the media center, the updated classrooms. And so we have quotes from KI, that's the furniture provider. For phase 1, $214,760.45. Phase 2, $51,328.38. From Hale Manufacturing, which is primarily for the shelving in the media center, in the amount of $83,466.64 for a total cost of $349,555.47. So we're bringing that to the board for approval so we can get those items ordered so that they can arrive in time and also avoid any price increases.
I make a motion, we buy the furniture.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item is an approval request for some donations. First being McDonald's to Greencastle High School's Inkpot newspaper in the amount of $500. Excuse me. Putnam County Community Foundation to Tezonicas Intermediate in the amount of $2,786.13. Putnam County Community Foundation to Deer Meadow Primary in the amount of $3,250. Putnam County Community Foundation to Ridpath Primary in the amount of $3,720. RSQ Fire Protection LLC to Greencastle High School Wrestling Team in the amount of $1,500. As always, very nice.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. I make a motion that we accept all donations as presented gladly.
And I will second that also gladly.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
All gladly. All gladly.
All gladly.
Gladly done.
Is that a word, gladly?
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Already did. You just did.
Yeah, I just did. Do we have our
Yes.
student of the month in the back? Maybe we'll go ahead
Hey,
and give
come
a
on.
recognition.
Come on up.
High school would like to recognize Emma Smiley. Emma was, for the month of October, for respect. The teachers say Emma's a great leader in many respects. She has been a member of the Key Club for the past 2 years and has impressed the teachers with her follow-through on everything she gets involved with. She has so much respect for the students that she works with on any project, and she makes sure to include everyone. This is Emma Smiley.
I thought maybe they didn't want to listen to Neola policies.
Join the club. All right, next item on the agenda is everyone's favorite part of the meeting. Jeff's gonna read all these as Neola policies.
I don't know about that. This is a second reading of the Neola policies. that are listed. They were shared with you last month. They were shared for discussion as well. But really, most of them are a result in changes of state or federal law. So unless requested, I'm not going to speak specifically about each of them, but they have been shared with you. And it would be my recommendation that the board approve them on second reading so that we can be current with state and federal law. And I will also have some additional ones in the future.
I did not have any questions.
I didn't either. Most of them just look like change of verbiage here and there.
Yeah, a lot of technical corrections and cleanup. This, and again, for the law, there really were not, there really wasn't anything major that was adjusted or recommended to be adjusted.
I make a motion, we adopt the changes to the Neola policies listed below.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is other business. Does anyone have any other business to discuss?
I was just gonna ask Jeff how he thought the concession stands were going with the new,
Yeah. Why? Because I was stuffing my face with nachos the other day.
How is everyone else liking it, Jeff?
Well, the stain on my shirt from the barbecue. No, I think for the most part, I think they, they're learning. They've only have a couple of games that are under their belt, but I think they've done a good job. I think as the season goes along, they'll get better and get quicker. But I think the food. I think it's tasted good. I see people buying it, so I think it's working out well for them and working out well for us. And then obviously, we're continuing to operate. I think it's what the Key Club, or is the junior class, or maybe it's both at the high school. They operate the other concession stands. So I think overall it's gone really well.
Good. Anything else? Okay, next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Make a motion. I'll second then,
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
You've been walking on
Thank
me
you
all
for your-
meeting, sir. What are you doing to me?
And our next meeting is December 12th
12.
Yes, December 12th.
at 6.